Now I'm nervous.
You got this.
All right. The oldest have myotonic dystrophy, which is a type of muscular dystrophy, and so that's been really neat to rediscover.
Hello friends, welcome to the Motherhood series. I'm so excited for you to be here. Just a few gentle reminders off the top. Please be kind and gracious with each other in the comment section, as well as to whoever's in the video. This is not an easy thing to get in front of the camera and to talk about something as vulnerable as motherhood. As well too, not all of us are expert communicators and we may misuse words or misuse language, so please give people the benefit of the doubt. As well, this is a snippet and a small portion of their story. It is not the full story. So with all that being said, please enjoy this video.
We started thinking about having kids probably once we hit our year anniversary. And it really didn't take a lot to become pregnant. We tried for probably a few months. And then I got pregnant, so it was pretty straightforward. My pregnancy was horrible, though. It was full of throwing up. And I realized that I had hyperemesis and ended up in the hospital a few times, ended up with a kidney infection, and had to go on IV antibiotics. The whole works. Was in the hospital for a week. Now, as a mother of 3, I realized how nice it was that I didn't have any kids at the time. And so it was quite lovely to just lay there and be sick, but with nurses catering to me. So that was nice. It's interesting because when I actually had Emery, my firstborn, I didn't have that bond right away. And I knew I had heard about that, but it did not happen right away. The first thought I had was, oh no, what have I done? Literally the next day. I think I've made a huge mistake. Those are real thoughts. And I also thought to myself, and this is maybe the dramatic part of me, yes it is if someone were to come in here and threaten my life and the life of my baby, I don't know if I would protect him. I don't feel that bond. Thankfully, it took probably by 6 weeks in, I was there and I was in love with my baby. But it took a while, and it's strange they don't talk about that very much, but it did take a while for me to become the mother that I had thought that I would be, but I wasn't right in the beginning. So before I became a mom, I don't think I really thought a whole lot about what kind of mom I would be. I thought that I would be patient and kind and fun, and I would do all these fun crafts and take my kids swimming and do all the fun things. And yeah, it was probably a very delusional idea of what motherhood was going to be for me. I had no idea what was coming. The person who taught me the most about motherhood, I would say, is my mom. I have looked up to her my whole life. I had a really great relationship with her starting right from the beginning. And when I think about the kind of mom I want to be, I think about her. And, I look at what she was like with me and my brothers, and I don't remember her yelling, but I remember her being firm and laying down the law, but also being incredibly loving. And that's what I wanted to be for my kids. When my mom thinks about what she was like with us growing up, when I tell her about how I feel she was, she agrees that she didn't yell. And she still doesn't yell, even when she gets frustrated with my kids or with me. So she would say that, no, she never yelled. I am so not my mother. I want to be, but I'm not. I am not. And I think that is because I never saw what everything was that was coming. I thought that I would be able to be a happy-go-lucky mom, with stress-free, calm, but then came the anger, the depression, the frustration just with having kids, and the tiredness. Oh my goodness, the tiredness. That will make you feel crazy. And so none of my kids slept through the night until they were like almost 2, for only one of them. So yeah, just being more tired than I ever thought I would ever be, that surprised me about motherhood. And I'm tired to this day. So my oldest is 9, and my second is 7, and my 7-year-old doesn't sleep very well. She wakes up 1-2 times a night, every night. And so when they tell you, oh, your kids will eventually start to sleep through the night, well, that's not every child. That's been one of the biggest lessons for me to learn, is that my kids are different. All kids are different. There is no recipe book. There is no book out there that can tell you exactly how your kids are going to grow up. And so I had to learn to set aside expectations that were created by society that were really unrealistic for my kids, and realized that we needed to make our own rules and our own reality in our house. And so it's okay that my kids get up from the table and run around and then come back and eat a bit more. And I don't force them to stay at the table because they can't. It's okay that my youngest sleeps with me for most of the night. He starts the night in his bed and then he makes his way over to my bed. And that's all right. That's not the societal norm, but it works for us. Motherhood has changed me personally in all ways, which I didn't expect either, that my entire being would be completely transformed by motherhood. And I am literally not the same person I was 10 years ago when I was expecting. So, I went through a long period of postpartum depression that took me down a lot of different roads, and I've come through it. I still deal with depression, but it's more manageable. But I'm a different person. I'm more serious than I used to be. But thankfully, I do still have the same passions that I used to. So that's been really neat to rediscover, that the passions I had before I had kids are still there, but I just have to do them differently because I have kids. So I love to play piano, but I have to play my electric piano with my headphones on because my kids won't let me play the piano if they can hear it, right? So just finding new ways to do the things that I enjoy doing. The way I view myself now that I've become a mother is much different than I used to. Growing up, I had a fabulous self-esteem. I never ever looked in the mirror and had any doubts of myself. I was very self-confident. And since I've had 3 children, I've also gained a lot of weight. And my body shape has just changed. And I think that's something a lot of moms struggle with. And I didn't think that I would struggle with it because I had such a consistent body shape throughout my entire life until I had kids. And even after my first kid, I bounced right back. But after number 2 and then number 3 especially, and then things just evolved over time, my body has just changed. And so that's been probably one of the biggest internal struggles that I've had, is accepting my new body shape and then finding clothes that fit me instead of me trying to fit into clothes. It's a really big one. And then being okay with it. So that's been an internal struggle that I've really struggled with. I've also struggled with rage and anger. That's something that came with motherhood. I did not have that before the way it is now. A lot of counseling has helped me to work through my feelings. I've discovered that I'm neurodivergent as well, and I didn't realize that growing up. But when you have really, really stressful situations kind of trigger those things, it really brings it out. That's what I've discovered, and thankfully Instagram is really great. They have a lot of information, and I've learned that way. And just understanding that about me, I've been able to then implement strategies to help me and just be more kind to myself. That's been a big one. When we moved to the town we live in now, my oldest was 3 and my youngest was like 6 months or so. And so they were still pretty young, and I had to navigate this new community. And I absolutely looked at it through the lens of a new mom. And so that means that I looked at the moms groups and started going, because that was really important to me, to be able to connect with other moms. It's funny enough, the first moms group I went to was actually totally chaotic. It was a stay and play type thing, and there were kids running around screaming, and I'm hard of hearing, and I cannot focus on a conversation if there's a lot of noise. And I was still at this point mom of 2 very little ones who weren't terribly loud at home. And so I wasn't used to that. So I actually didn't go back to that group for quite a while. And it's funny because I eventually did go back because some of my close friends went, and that turned into my very favorite group ever. I went for years, and my best friends are from that group. And so I created my community of moms around me from the moms group that I went to. Through that experience, I joined committees and was part of community building. We created a group for a while called Baby Blessings, where we created these hampers for new moms who had babies. It didn't matter if it was their first baby or their third baby, they got a hamper from us. And that was just beautiful to give back to our community. We don't do that anymore because the pandemic. And yeah, there comes a point where you just burn out thanks to the pandemic. We also created, we have a friendship festival in our town every summer, and I was part of that for a couple years. So yeah, this mom group opened up the whole community for me. I definitely felt like I could participate in community events because I had friends with kids. So we would decide to meet together every year when the parade is in town. I text my friends and I'm like, hey, where are you going to be? Let's meet up. And then all our kids are there, and it's this nice big group of friends in our community. My support network has changed since I became a mom. So before I became a mom, I had friends who were single, were newly married, but they didn't have kids. But once I became a mom, I really worked to make friends with other moms because that's who you want to talk to. And now as my kids have grown older and those friends' kids have also grown older, we've become closer. And as well, I've developed a much closer relationship with my parents because I've needed them so much. Just with things going on in our family, I've had to really lean on my parents, especially since I have had kids. So my support network now is my parents and, my friends that are close by. And that's really about it. I keep it as small as I can, really, because it takes a lot of effort to keep up relationships. So you only want to keep the ones that are good for you and make you feel good about yourself, which means I've had to let go of some friends as well. And that's been a hard transition as well, but needed. Yeah. Some of the hardest lessons that I've had to learn becoming a mom, there's a lot. But one of the biggest in our unique situation has been advocacy, learning to advocate for my kids within the healthcare system. My two oldest have myotonic dystrophy, which is a type of muscular dystrophy. And so we just got diagnosed about a year ago. Before that, there's a solid 8 years where we didn't know what it was that my kids had. And so that's a long time to navigate not knowing what is going on, but knowing that there's something off about my children. But finally getting an answer, but then needing to find more answers and go for doctor's appointments and therapy appointments has taught me a lot about being really strong in standing up for my kids. And when healthcare professionals don't want to listen to me, or they dismiss what I'm thinking, my concerns, okay, then I find another healthcare professional who is going to listen to me. And that doesn't mean that I'm strong all the time. I cry a lot, and I vent to my friends a lot, which is the community that is so important. And having really good friends with connections is really helpful. I am a nurse, and I have nurse friends, so that actually has been a saving grace sometimes, because I will vent to some of them, and then they'll say, oh, I know this person, and I think that they would be a great match for you. You want me to talk to them? Yes. So I've been able to get some healthcare professionals that way who are really wonderful and good advocates for us, simply through my own relationships and connections, and me advocating and pushing through the barriers that I've had put in front of me over and over, including my own barriers of my own mental health. So another thing that I've learned being a mom is that mental health is really, really important. Taking care of my own mental health is paramount to being able to take care of my kids and my husband. And if I don't take care of myself, I can't do that. So finding ways to prioritize myself, and we often think, man, the sacrifices we have to make to take care of our kids. Well, we have to take care of ourselves first. And that's been a big learning curve, because we think that we should just sacrifice everything, but we can't. That, I have that, what do you call it? Martyrdom complex, where I need to just sacrifice everything of myself, and I am nothing but a slave to my children. But that's terrible. We need to know that is not okay. We need to take care of ourselves. We are not slaves to our children. We are their mother and their helper in life. My proudest moment or achievement in motherhood would be the way that I've been able to advocate for my kids. Because I never thought that I could. I never thought that I could navigate the healthcare system the way that I have and get my kids the support that they're getting, and getting support financially from the government and applying for grants and for different things like that is really beyond what I ever thought that I could do. And I've been able to do it. And that's pretty amazing to me. Yeah. If I could give myself a piece of advice to myself before I have kids, I think I would tell her that it's worth it. It's worth it to go through the depths of despair and depression and the awfulness of what I went through, because and the other side of it, it's nice.
Do a big reveal. Did you catch a glimpse?
Wow. Oh my goodness. Wow.
Did you like it?
Yes. Oh my goodness. The hair is on fire.
I know. Is that okay? I feel like
yes.
It's a little bit more vibrant, but when the light catches your hair, it looks really vibrant.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
I know. Oh my goodness. Baby.
Oh.
Yeah, it does look like me.
Yeah.